Rafael Nadal reflects on letting go of a sport he loved and his surprise hit with Eala. It is a full year since the great Rafael Nadal retired from a sport he loves, and he marked the occasion with a match against rising star Eala. So, how did it feel to be back playing? The 22-time Grand Slam winner hung up his tennis racket in November 2024 with his last competitive match a straight-set defeat to Botic van de Zandschulp in Spain's Davis Cup Finals quarterfinal loss against the Netherlands. With his professional days behind him, the former world number one took a complete break from playing and was rarely seen hitting balls on a court until he posted a 41-second social media clip of his match in Mallorca against Rafa Nadal Academy graduate Eala. 1 year later, it felt great to be back on a tennis court. Nadal wrote, "It was great to practice with you at Eala 05. Next time I will be stronger." In an extensive interview with Jorge Valdano on the Movie Star Plus program Universo Valdano, Nadal offered feedback on the encounter and explained his current relationship with tennis. "I played 45 minutes with Eala. They asked me to play, and I was happy to do so," the 39-year-old said. "If I don't have to run, that's fine. Through the academy, I remain involved and watch what I feel like watching. I don't follow day to day as before. Now, I watch the matches or moments that I feel like watching." Nadal retired after he failed to fully recover from a hip injury he sustained at the 2023 Australian Open despite undergoing surgery. He knew he would never be able to play at the level he wanted, but the Spaniard also battled with a chronic foot injury throughout his career and was told at a young age that he was unlikely to have a long career due to the rare and degenerative condition. Yet he reached the very top in tennis as he spent more than 200 weeks at number one in the ATP rankings, won a record 14 French Open titles, completed a career Grand Slams, broke just about every single clay court record, and will go down in history as one of the greatest ever tennis players. Retirement after such a successful career was never going to be easy, but Nadal was always prepared. "I went through the respect you must have for change," he explained. "All changes in life, at the very least, must generate some respect for how you will react to a new reality, a life that will be different from what you are used to. Not only 20 years of a professional career, but since you were 10 years old. Sports and tennis are what I devoted myself to completely. I was prepared because I exhausted my options to the end. The fact that I had exhausted all the real options I had to continue competing at the level I would have liked to continue at gave me the conviction and peace of mind to end in peace and be convinced that it was the decision I had to make, because there was no more. The tank was already empty." He added, "There are people who, logically, thought I should have stopped earlier, that the end didn't make sense. For me, it did make sense. You have to act according to who you are. I acted as such. I tried to exhaust my options until there really weren't any left. I liked what I was doing. I didn't retire because I was tired of what I was doing or lacked the necessary motivation. I retired because my body couldn't take it anymore. I was still happy doing what I was doing. In the surgery, they told me I had options to fully recover from it. I had to give myself a prudent time to find out. There came a point where I realized I could compete, but not at the level I needed to continue. I pushed my career to the limit, as far as I could take it." Rafael Nadal had always believed that endings would feel like a clean line drawn in the sand, something definitive, like the white chalk that marked the baselines he had patrolled for nearly 2 decades. Yet as the sea breeze wafted across the clay courts of Manacor on a late September afternoon, he realized endings were rarely that neat. They came in waves, quiet, unannounced, emotional, stubborn. Much like the ocean outside his academy, they receded and returned. He sat alone at the far corner of Court 7, the one he liked most because it overlooked the sea. The silence was unusual. Even after retirement, there was usually some rustle of movement, junior players practicing volleys, coaches calling out instructions in a half-stern, half-encouraging tone, or the rhythmic Thursday pock of tennis balls meeting strings. But today was calm, almost reverent. Perhaps the academy sensed the weight of his mood. Nadal rubbed the red dust between his fingers. It clung to his skin with the stubbornness of memory, the same way tennis clung to him even when his body urged him toward a different life. "Coach Rafa." The familiar voice cut through the air like a gentle topspin. He didn't even have to turn to know who it was. Eala. She trotted toward him with a grin that carried the kind of sunshine that made people believe in the future. The young Filipino star had trained under his academy for years, and though she had long since graduated into the professional circuit, she always came back. To hit, to reset, to remember where she started. To Nadal, she was family, the kind forged by shared sweat and stubbornness. "You're early," he said. She shrugged. "I figured you'd be here." "And why is that?" "Because whenever you're quiet, you come to this court." Her smile softened. "It's like your temple." He chuckled. "You make me sound older than I am." She plopped down beside him. "You're Rafa Nadal. Age doesn't apply to you." But of course it did. He felt every year in the tendons that once snapped like whips, now stiff as old ropes, in the knees that once chased every impossible ball with reckless optimism, in the shoulder that had served thousands of aces and now ached after 2 casual practice sets. "Want a hit?" Alex asked. He looked at her, at the brightness of her ambition and the promise of someday winning titles he would proudly watch from afar. "You're preparing for a tournament, no?" "One match won't break me," she said. "Maybe it'll fix you." He raised an eyebrow. "You think I'm broken?" She tossed a ball into the air and let it bounce between her fingers. "I think you're sad, not broken. You can't break what's already legendary." He laughed despite himself. It felt good. Young energy had a way of healing him more effectively than doctors or physiotherapists ever could. "All right," he said, standing up slowly, carefully. "But no running me around." "No promises," she teased. The first strike of the ball felt like a reunion, familiar yet startling. Nadal let his racket follow the motion it had known since childhood, an almost spiritual muscle memory. The ball spun off his strings with that heavy topspin he was famous for, kicking high. Alex adjusted, countered with a deep, angled shot. He felt alive.